I am Homo sapiens. The Triassic period, which occurred approximately 252 to 201 million years ago, marks the beginning of the Mesozoic era, often referred to as the Age of Reptiles. This period began after the Permian-Triassic extinction event, the most severe extinction event in Earth's history, which wiped out about 90 to 95% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species. However, the Triassic seas were vibrant ecosystems, with the rise and evolution of many new marine species. Early Triassic seas were home to new groups of marine reptiles, such as ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. The foundations of new species of frogs and ancestors of turtles were also laid during this time. Modern coral reefs also began to form in this era. The Triassic period was a time of evolutionary developments that laid the foundation for the dominance of dinosaurs in the Jurassic period. Early Triassic ecosystems were dominated by synapsids, but as the period progressed, archosaurs, or the terrestrial ancestors of crocodiles and dinosaurs, began to diversify and dominate. During the Triassic, mammal-like species that evolved from synapsid ancestors were small, nocturnal, and insectivorous. In fact, after the Permian-Triassic extinction, new forms of life on Earth set the stage for the future evolution of species. Plants adapted to different environments, creating food chains that supported more complex organisms. Insects diversified significantly, contributing to plant pollination and playing important roles in ecosystems. Reptiles and the first true mammals also began to establish themselves in new specialized ecosystems, leading to the dominance of dinosaurs in the Jurassic period and the rise of mammals in later periods. Overall, the Triassic period was a crucial time of recovery and adaptation, laying the foundation for the diverse and complex terrestrial ecosystems of the Mesozoic era. We will discuss this period in 5 parts. 1. The impact of plate tectonics, climate, and ecosystems. 2. Marine life during the Triassic period. 3. Plants and the plant kingdom. 4. Terrestrial animals and insects of the Triassic period. 5. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. Plate tectonics, climate, and their impact on ecosystems. During the Triassic period, Earth's climate, tectonic activity, and atmospheric conditions played a crucial role in shaping the environment and life. During this time, all major land masses were connected as the supercontinent Pangaea, which stretched from one pole to the other. This vast landmass had a significant impact on global climate and ocean currents. The absence of polar ice caps contributed to a relatively warm global climate. Although the higher latitudes were cooler than the equatorial regions, they were still relatively warm compared to modern times. The interaction between plate tectonics, climate, and atmospheric composition during the Triassic period created a world that was quite different from today, yet offered both unique challenges and opportunities for the evolution of life. The interior regions of Pangaea experienced extreme temperatures because its large size and the lack of nearby oceans hindered temperature regulation. The climate was generally warm and dry, with vast desert regions covering much of the land. However, these dry conditions were favorable for gymnosperm plants like conifers, cycads, and ginkgos. This environment also promoted the evolution of reptiles, including the early ancestors of dinosaurs and small synapsids. Many reptiles developed efficient respiratory systems, and the evolution of amniotic eggs allowed them to thrive in arid habitats. These ecosystems provided homes for various herbivorous and carnivorous creatures, ranging from small insects to reptiles. While the overall climate of this period was warm and dry, some areas experienced seasonal monsoons, especially near the coasts where moist air from the Panthalassic Ocean brought seasonal rains. In riverine and wetland environments, moist conditions supported mixed forests of ferns, horsetails, and lycophytes, which also provided habitats for amphibians, freshwater fish, and various invertebrates. Marine life during the Triassic period. Marine reptiles became the dominant sea creatures during the Triassic era, filling the ecological niches left vacant by extinctions. Ichthyosaurs resembled modern dolphins in size and shape and were top predators in the oceans. They were highly adapted to aquatic life, and many were fast swimmers. Plesiosaurs were reptiles with long necks and broad bodies, equipped with powerful fins that helped them swim. They were primarily carnivorous. Nothosaurs were semi-aquatic reptiles that looked similar to modern seals. They had paddle-like limbs and likely hunted fish and small marine invertebrates in coastal waters. Fish diversity rebounded during the Triassic, with the first true bony fish, teleosts, and several early sharks and rays emerging. Among ray-finned fishes, actinopterygians were prominent, evolving into various forms ranging from small herbivores to large predators, playing a key role in the food chain. Some early ray-finned fish developed herbivorous diets, feeding on planktonic algae or larger seaweed. Ammonites, a group of cephalopods, were highly diverse. These ammonites were both predators and prey for larger marine reptiles and were related to modern squids and octopuses. Gastropods included both herbivorous and carnivorous species that thrived in the Triassic seas. Herbivorous gastropods often lived on the ocean floor, feeding on algae or decaying matter and controlling algal growth. Zooplankton, such as early copepods, relied on phytoplankton and served as prey for small fish and other marine animals. Modern corals, or scleractinian corals, began to develop during this time, gradually replacing older Paleozoic tabulate and rugose corals. Early Triassic reefs were also built by other organisms, including sponges and calcium-rich algae. Marine algae, the foundation of the Triassic oceanic food chain, consisted of three types. One was green algae, chlorophyta, found in shallow marine environments, providing both food and shelter for herbivorous animals, including some invertebrates and small fish. The second was red algae, rhodophyta, which played a crucial role in reef building and helped stabilize reef structures. They also served as food for herbivorous snails and other small marine animals. The third, brown algae, Phaeophyceae, consisting of large seaweeds that dominate modern marine environments, had not yet fully evolved but existed in smaller forms during this period. Terrestrial plants and the plant kingdom. During the Triassic period, after the mass extinction at the end of the Permian era, new diversity was observed among plants in terrestrial ecosystems. This period saw the emergence of new plant groups and the development of complex terrestrial ecosystems. Gymnosperms were the dominant plants during the Triassic period. These are a group of seed-producing plants that do not form flowers or fruits. They were well adapted to the warm and dry climatic conditions found abundantly on the supercontinent Pangaea. Another significant group of plants was the conifers, including species like Voltsia and Araucaria. Araucaria was a new species of tree that evolved during this period and is still found today. These plants were dominant by the end of the Triassic period and became the most prominent plant species in the Jurassic. They are adaptable to various environments, from arid regions to more moist areas near water bodies, and can survive in moderate rainfall and cooler climates. Cycads and cycadioids, which resembled modern palm trees, were also abundant and widespread. These plants had thick trunks and large, tough leaves, allowing them to survive well in dry conditions. There was a decline in the diversity of seed ferns, or pteridosperms, during this period, but some seed ferns still survived in the Triassic. These plants were similar to modern ferns, but reproduced through seeds rather than spores. Ferns and horsetails were spore-producing plants commonly found in moist areas like riverbanks and floodplains. They formed shrubs in the Triassic forests and provided habitats for various insects. Although less common than in earlier periods, lycophytes, primitive vascular plants, still survived in some moist environments. Terrestrial animals of the Triassic period. The Triassic period saw a great diversity of terrestrial animal species. During this time, there were many species including archosaurs, dinosaurs, synapsids, and amphibians, along with a vast variety of insects. The environment of the Triassic period was highly favorable for insects. Progonocales was an extinct species of turtle that lived around 210 million years ago, at the end of the Triassic period. This early turtle had a well-developed shell but couldn't fully retract its head inside. Its tail had spikes, and it was herbivorous. Among terrestrial vertebrates, reptiles, especially archosaurs, were present from the beginning of the Triassic and were the dominant group. They evolved into two branches. One was Pseudosuchia archosaurs, the lineage that led to crocodiles. The best example is Revealtosaurus, whose teeth and jaw structure indicate it was herbivorous. The other branch was the Avametatarsalia archosaurs, which were diapsids from which dinosaurs and birds evolved. Although birds didn't evolve in the Triassic, the earliest dinosaurs did develop towards the end of the period. Most of these early dinosaurs were small, bipedal creatures that were primarily carnivorous, preying on smaller animals. Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus are great examples. Eoraptor was a small, lightweight dinosaur initially thought to be carnivorous, but later research revealed it was herbivorous. Herrerasaurus, on the other hand, was a larger dinosaur, around 3 meters, 10 feet, long, weighing about 180 kilograms, and was carnivorous. Pterosaurs were the first flying vertebrates, emerging at the end of the Triassic period. They had membranous wings attached to their fingers, and their bones were hollow, similar to modern birds. These creatures likely fed on insects or small prey, and almost all pterosaur fossils have been found near seas or lakes, suggesting they lived near water bodies or coastlines. Eudomorphodon and Patenosaurus are notable examples. The Lepidosaurs group included ancestors of modern lizards and snakes. Early Lepidosaurs were small and agile, with Sophanida being one such animal found in the Middle Triassic. The diversity and population of synapsids were heavily impacted by the Permian-Triassic extinction event. Cynodonts, a group of therapsids that were ancestors of mammals, were the dominant synapsids in the Triassic. These ranged from small to medium-sized herbivores and carnivores, with some likely being nocturnal insectivores, avoiding direct competition with reptiles. Lystrosaurus was the most prominent synapsid after the Permian-Triassic extinction, a herbivorous creature about 5 feet long, thriving in the early Triassic. Similarly, Cynognithus, a carnivorous cynodont therapsid, was a wolf-sized predator with dog-like incisors and canine teeth, which likely hunted in packs. In the rivers and lakes of the Triassic period, amphibians were commonly found. These were among the last large amphibians, whose numbers began to decline toward the end of the Triassic. Temnospondyls were one such group of amphibians. The earliest frog-like creatures appeared in the Triassic, considered ancestors of modern frogs. Triodobatrachus was an extinct amphibian species from this period, though it's not considered the direct ancestor of all frogs. Still, it indicates that the early ancestors of frogs first evolved in this era. This amphibian, around 10 centimeters long, lived in both freshwater and on land. Insect diversification during the Triassic period. During the Triassic period, insects underwent rapid diversification, highlighting their deep connection with the emerging terrestrial ecosystems. The Coleoptera, beetles, were one of the most diverse insect groups during the Triassic period, and today they still form the largest order of insects. Their bodies are protected by a strong exoskeleton, and they have robust wings for flight. In the Triassic, beetles played various ecological roles such as herbivores, decomposers, and predators. Diptera, flies, were the earliest flies to evolve during the Triassic period. These small, delicate creatures played roles in pollination and decomposition within ecosystems. Modern-day mosquitoes and houseflies belong to this group as well. Orthoptera is the group related to grasshoppers. Early orthopteran insects included various types of grasshoppers, crickets, and katydids. These insects were mainly herbivores, consuming large amounts of plant material. Their behavior remains similar today, and diverse forms were found during the Triassic. Odonata included dragonflies and damselflies. Large dragonflies, with wingspans reaching up to 75 centimeters, existed during the Triassic and hunted other insects. However, fossil evidence of dragonflies dates back even further to the Carboniferous period. Isoptera, termites, evolved toward the end of the Triassic and began playing a role as decomposers of dead plant material, contributing to nutrient cycling in Triassic ecosystems. These termites still exist today and are notorious for their destructive role in damaging trees and forests. Triassic-Jurassic extinction. The mass extinction at the end of the Triassic period, around 201 million years ago, had a profound impact on Earth's biodiversity. This extinction event is one of the 5 major mass extinctions in Earth's history and is known as the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. At the end of the Triassic, the supercontinent Pangaea began to break apart, marking the initial separation of the modern continents. Volcanic eruptions related to Pangaea's breakup, particularly in the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, CAMP, released vast amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This led to global warming, with rising ocean temperatures and increasing ocean acidity. The rising sea levels caused by the breakup of Pangaea and volcanic activity led to flooding in many coastal areas, severely affecting marine ecosystems. The changes in ocean temperature and acidity caused significant harm to coral reefs, ammonites, and other marine species, leading to widespread destruction in the marine environment. The rapid climatic changes and volcanic effects also led to the extinction of many ancient plant species. Gymnosperms, such as conifers and araucaria, managed to survive to some extent, but many other plants were negatively impacted by these environmental changes. These events caused significant changes in Earth's average temperature and weather patterns, making it difficult for many species to adapt. However, mammals and reptiles proved better at adapting to the changing conditions. This extinction paved the way for the rise of dinosaurs in the Jurassic period.